Yo, what's going on today, guys? Back here for another video. So we just had two huge tournaments wrap up today. So first off, we had the $1,000 tournament ran by Godzly, a fellow content creator. Then we also had the classic Ursiidays, which is every Saturday and Sunday, which was around 950 people. So yeah, we had these two tournaments. So I ended up putting all the data into pie charts, and I just wanted to talk about the meta before we dive into and look at these tournament winning decks. So first off, for the Ursiidays tournament, so we had Darkrai Giratina at 26.6%. By the way, this is a top 64 data, so I took all the top 64 decks and basically wanted to showcase what the meta is kind of looking like. So we have Darkrai at 26.6, like I just said. We have obviously it's the most played deck, and it's the best deck probably in the game. Then in second place, we have a tie for Crobat Arceus and Garchomp Rampardos. So Garchomp Rampardos is obviously it's Garchomp, but I also included the other Rampardos variants, such as like the Rockruff variant. I think there's like two of them. So if we're only including Garchomp Rampardos, it would not be the obviously second tied deck. But at the end of the day, I just include all the Rampardos decks. So Crobat Arceus and then Garchomp Rampardos tied in second place at 12.5%. Yeah, so then we have the fourth most represented deck, which was Oricorio Greninja Giratina. And then the fifth was the Topu Bulu variant with Topu Bulu, Greninja, and Giratina. So just looking at the top 5 decks, I mean, honestly, bro, like this is basically what I expected. If you play Master Ball Ring, these are like the most common decks right now. To be honest, the Rampardos variant is a little bit higher than I thought. I low-key thought like Oricorio Greninja would be played just a little bit more, and I definitely thought it was going to be like the second most represented deck. But it looks like a lot of the Oricorio players ended up swapping to Topu Bulu. But one fact I just want to like note, dude, 3 out of the top 5 decks are just Giratina decks. That card might be broken. That card is the best deck, not the best, it's the best card in the game. But then at 4.7, so we have a triple tie of fire decks, which is mainly Charizard plus Incineroar. There was like one solo Incineroar, but that's why I just put fire decks. Then we have a couple of Solgaleo variants. Then we have the Decidueye Masquerada decks, and then at 3.1 we have Oricorio Magnezone, and this little orange one. The name's not showing, but it's actually Snorlax. There's only one Snorlax player, which was very shocking, because like last week Snorlax won. And then like after it won like in ranked, it kind of exploded where like almost everybody in ranked was playing it and it was super popular, but only actually one ended up making it through. I think that's because Topu Bulu like low-key counters that deck and everyone is starting to catch on to play that version. Then we just have the other at 9.4%, which is like not really meta decks, but like decks that kind of like squeeze into that top cut. So we had a solo Beedrill, we had a couple Banette decks. I think there's like one of Mewtwo EX and then there's one of Mew EX. Banette, or however you pronounce it. But then we had this crazy Topu Bulu deck that actually ended up making top cut. Like I don't even understand how this thing made top cut. I just need to talk about that actually real quick before we get back into the data. So this deck ended up making it all the way to top 32, and all I gotta say, bro, how hard did Giratina Greninja have to carry this deck? Because in my mind, there's just no way this should have done good against the meta. Because if we look at their matches actually real quick, dude, so they beat an Incineroar Charizard. I'm just gonna say it out there, that person had the brick. I just don't see a way. Also they have Oricorio, so I guess they probably had Oricorio to be able to win this. But then they beat some Giratina Greninja matches up, the Oricorio Magnezone, Arceus Crobat. They lost to Arceus Giratina, which was another deck, by the way, that I ended up putting. That was also the like last deck in the other one. They lost to Solgaleo, kind of not surprised. I feel like a lot of their things would be pretty bad into Skarmory. Then they beat another Arceus Crobat, and then they ended up beating another Charizard. Probably, I'm gonna be honest, they either bricked or Oricorio carried them. Lost to Rampardos, but like, dude, in my mind, you have 3 garbage cards. I'm gonna be so real. Like, what is Scyther doing? Like, it's hitting Darkrai for 50. That's the cool thing, but like I'm thinking about like what is the energy on this? Is it triple or is it Paragrass? Like that's what I just want to know, because I don't know, dude. I just feel like personally this was the most craziest. This is probably the craziest deck I've ever seen get a top cut in the Ursiiday. I don't know, dude. It's just I never expected Topu Bulu out of all the Topus to be the one. I don't know, man. I just had to talk about this second. Let's get back into the data. Let's just get back into the data, bro, because this deck is just, it doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense. He's cooking. I'm gonna have to try this out for a video, bro. Yeah, so I have the data. So let me just real quick. So Dark Red Giratina, 17 players. Crobat Arceus was 8. Garchomp / Protos variants were also 8. Oricorio, Greninja 7. Tapu Lele 6. Fire Dex 3. Solgaleo 3. Decidueye 3. Oricorio Magnezone 2. 1 Snorlax, and then the other rare decks such as that Topu Bulu, the Arceus Giratina, the Banette decks were 6. So those are like all the like that is like how many people were playing those decks, like just so you guys can get an understanding in case like you don't really care about the percentages. Yeah, so anyways, I mean, dude, this is like this is meta. Like obviously Dark Red Giratina is dominating. It's definitely the most represented deck. To be honest, almost all card games are gonna have that most dominated deck. But like for us, as well as the other decks, dude, like the like Crobat Arceus, Garchomp, and like the Tapu Lele's, like they're all pretty much evenish, like throughout like top 64. So that's like one thing I just wanted to talk about. So I feel like this meta is like definitely diverse, and let's just compare it to the Godzly tournament. So in the Godzly tournament, we definitely had a more like obviously the other decks besides Dark Red Giratina were definitely more diverse. Like they're like very close in percentages, but Dark Red Giratina was actually more represented in this tournament, being at 34.4%. We had Garchomp Protos actually still at 12.5. Then we had Oricorio Ninja. One thing I want to note is that Crobat Arceus actually did not perform pretty good in this tournament compared to the other one, but Garchomp is still in second place. We have Oricorio Ninja and the Tapu Lele in third and fourth this time. So like everything basically is the same, besides Crobat Arceus just not doing as good. We have a little bit more representation for the fire decks than Crobat Arceus and Decidueye are after that. We have Snorlax was made like I think like 2 or 3 of them out of the making through, so a little bit more Snorlaxes, but still not as many as I really thought they were gonna be. Then we had a little bit of Solgaleo, not really that much. We had like 1 Oricorio Magnezone, and then we just had a little bit of other. Honestly, this tournament didn't have as much like random decks to like make it through as Ursii's. Like Ursii's had 6 make it through, only 1 like random deck made it through, and I kind of forget what it is actually. Let me go find that real quick. Oh yeah, so the only deck that like was in the other category was actually Togekiss. So Togekiss actually ended up making 45th place. So that's just like really cool to see, because I think Togekiss is a very fun card. But now to showcase you guys like what the numbers are, it is going to be Dark Red Giratina with 22 players, Garchomp and Protos variants with 8, Oricorio with 7, Tapu Lele with 6, Fire Dex with 6, Decidueye with 4, Crobat Arceus with 4, Snorlax with 3, Solgaleo with 2, Oricorio and Magnezone with 1, and then obviously the Togekiss at 1 as well. Yeah, so like pretty much like the meta is kind of like set. Like we definitely had like basically the fire decks did better in this one, and then Crobat Arceus did a little bit worse, and then like stuff like Snorlax, Decidueye like still around like the same numbers, like still at the bottom. But dude, I mean, to be honest, man, like I think we're just like kind of like chilling. Like I think this is a very diverse format. Like obviously Dark Red Giratina is like 10 to 20% higher than these other decks, but it is the best deck we've ever seen in the game, and until something comes out that like hard counters it, or there's like a ban list in this game, I kind of just don't see Dark Red Giratina getting like going anywhere until like literally it gets power crept in a deck. Like decks are just more broken than it comes out, or like because I don't know what, like, unless there's like a support card that makes sure you can't use an ability on your next turn. Like I don't know, dude. Like that's the only thing I'm like kind of like thinking of, because I mean, once again, I already said it when we were looking at the Ursiiday tournament. In this tournament, 3 out of the top 4 decks are just Giratina variants, dude. So I mean, Giratina is obviously the best deck in the game. It's the best card in the game, and it just makes the best decks, dude. As simple as that. Like slot a Greninja, slot a Giratina in there, boom, dude. That's the new engine for this season. So I just want to look at all the data for like all the diversity of the top 64. Yeah, now let's just hop in, bro. Look at these top 8 decks. Look at some of these cool decks, dude. And yeah, bro, let's just go look at some deck profiles. Yeah, so this is the first place winner for the Ursiiday tournament. We have the Topu Lele Greninja. So Topu Lele is a very interesting card. It is a bench sniper that also can attack the active spot. I really like these bench snipers that can do both, because like something like Hitmonlee, bro, sometimes it's super like my gripe of Hitmonlee always in the past was like sometimes like my opponents like that would be in the active spot and my Hitmonlee kind of just is a dead card because like I kind of want to attack the active, but I really like Topu Bulu being able to attack everything. So for 1 psychic energy, this deck does 20 damage for each energy Pokemon or your opponent's Pokemon has attached. So it's extremely cool, bro. Basically, like for example, I think the reason the Snorlax Giratina deck is kind of doing weird, dude, because like if they're trying to set up on the Giratina, they have a Snorlax in the active, which definitely can threaten the Topu Bulu KO with the berry, but like you can kind of like snipe it, dude. Not only that, but a lot of decks like kind of do want to set up and because like example, dude, like Stoke Charizard is gonna have 5 energy on it. That's gonna be 100 damage. Like you 1 energy for 100 damage with a non-EX Pokemon is kind of crazy. And then just like other stuff, you know, just being able to like snipe the bench for like these 40-60 damage is just kind of insane. Combine that with the Greninja Shurikens, that's just additional damage while you're setting up a Giratina also, because you are playing pure psychic, so you don't actually have to use the ability. You can't be attacking the Topu Bulu and setting up the Giratina. Obviously, because we have like 4 cards that damage the bench with the Greninja and the Topu Bulu, they play the 2 Cyruses, which is super cool. The 1 Pokemon Center Lady and then the 1 Mars. 1 Pokecom to be able to find the Greninjas, or like, you know, like sometimes you can use it to find the Giratinas or like the cards you do need if you already have the Greninjas. Then just the 1 Giant Cape. I mean, the Giant Cape is always nice to let you live that 1 additional hit, especially on the Giratina after you attack. For like example, like the Meowscarada matchup, like you kind of want to be at that 150 HP because like most Meowscarada decks don't run red anymore. Yeah, so I just think this deck is super cool, man. Like it's just like I feel like it fits the meta, dude, like very well. Like personally, there's nothing. it's just a cool deck. That's as simple as that. Now let's just look at the first place actually in the Godzly tournament. So now I know it's Giratina Darkrai. A lot of people hate that deck, but dude, I'm gonna be honest, they were running the Komala tech. So if you are wondering what the hell is this doing and how did it win in a Darkrai Giratina deck, so the reason Darkrai Giratinas are playing this is because Komala for 2 energy does 70 damage. You do put yourself asleep when you do attach energy to it, so that is one downside. But for 2 energy, you can one-shot these Oricorios in the active spot that are meant to counter this deck. So that is literally why people are slotting in Komala now in Darkrai Giratina. I think it's super sick, dude, because like you really wouldn't play this card. Like if it wasn't for Oricorio, this card would not be good. No one would be playing it, but because Oricorio's existence can counter Darkrai Giratina so hard, I think it's super cool that people are teching in this card because it definitely can be a brick, dude. This is a 2 retreat cost, so if you actually start first with this, can be very bad and can get like opponent can just get a free KO. But other than that, they have the 2 Pokemon Center ladies that actually wake up the Komala when you do need to attack with it. 2 Mars because just hand disruption is broken. 1 Guzma, you don't want to be attacking into those rocky helmets, or in case the Oreo places a giant cape on it. 1 Leaf to be able to swap out, 1 Sabrina, 1 Cyrus, the 2 Pokeballs, 2 Rocky Helmets because Rocky Helmet is just really good in this meta, and then the 1 Giant Cape. I mean, besides like the Komala, bro, a very standard package. The only difference is they're running 2 Mars instead of like a red card and a Mars, and they're not running the red because they are playing the Komala. Yeah, so I just think it's a super sick deck, dude. I really like it. Like honestly, bro, I'm just a huge fan of seeing like these like cool tech options in decks, dude. Now before we go back to like the meta decks, bro, we have these 2 Banette decks that I've been talking about, bro. Like here you can see them in the Ursiidays. We have this one of Mewtwo EX, and then we have this one of Mew EX. Let's just go take a look at them real quick because I feel like this is going to be super interesting. Yeah, so it's like basically another Topu Bulu variant, but instead of the Greninja package, they're playing Banette basically to disrupt your opponent because for those of you who don't know, if Banette attacks, your opponent cannot attach energy to their active Pokemon. And then they just have the Topu Bulus, we already talked about that. Then they have the tech of the 1 Mew and then the 1 RC. It's just as like Pokemon to set up on, as these things are 1 energy, so you definitely want something like that. I guess they chose just not to run Giratina because they wanted to just be different, which isn't a bad thing, bro, because you know it's cool to see these other variants, bro. Then they have a Team Rocket Grunt. I mean, they're already playing Banette, dude. Might as well just go full screw up, bro. Like let's just not let your opponent have fun. Then just, you know, pretty standard package Cyrus, Sabrina with the Guzma, and then the 2 Giant Capes. You know, I'm gonna assume the Giant Capes are like mainly for like Mew to live a Giratina attack, or putting them on the Pokemon like at 90 HP to let them live a Snorlax berry is what I'm gonna assume. At the end of the day, who really knows? Obviously Giant Cape is just really good in general, so it could be so many uses, bro. But then we have this Mewtwo EX one, bro. So instead of the Mew and the Arceus set up on, they have the Mewtwo EX. They're also playing this other Oricorio. So for those of you who don't know, This is essentially a psychic Marshadow for 1 psychic energy, and instead of 100 damage you do 80 damage because you do 60 additional, 60 plus 20, 80. So it's just like a cool little like psychic sandbox deck, dude. This one has 2 Team Rocket Ground Sprout, fully committing to just not letting your opponent have fun. And then they actually have a red Pokemon Center Lady Mars. Red is probably here for the Mewtwo BX to be able to do 170 damage once you do set it up. And then just the classic Cyrus Mars Sabrina Pokemon Center Lady package that a lot of decks are playing if you have room. Yeah, then if we just go to the actual tournaments, we can see at the Godzly, bro, that's just the top 8. So the top 8 was all Giratina. All Giratina. Snorlax actually did very good. I mean, there wasn't that many Snorlax players in either tournaments, but Snorlax player ended up getting 2nd place, so congrats to them. But the thing I want to look up, bro, this Decidueye ended up getting top 5. Trying all these Giratinas, dude, so we gotta check out the deck profile, because honestly, these other Giratina decks, the Dark Rise are just going to be very standard, or they're going to be the Oricorio or the Tapu Fini. I mean, Tapu Lele ones, so they're pretty standard. So let's actually look at like the interesting ones. So this is Decidueye, very interesting, dude. So it's playing a 2/1/2 Masquerada package, that's very standard, but it's only playing the 1/1 Decidueye package. It's not playing Dartrix. I know a lot of people are definitely doing that now because they want the extra room for the just, you know, item cards. But one cool thing to note is they're only playing 1 Pokeball, which is very interesting. Definitely makes the deck weird, but they are making up for that by playing 1 Iono and 1 Pokemon Communication. They're going like hard, like, dude, I'm getting in the Masquerada probably as fast as possible is what I'm gonna assume. Like, you might have the red cards, you might have the Mars. I have all these cards that are gonna help me set up as fast as possible, but that's the only thing I think of, right? Like, why they have this. Besides that, they're playing 2 Ericas and the 1 Lily. I was doing that at 1.2 and it is really nice. But they also have, like, because they're not playing Dartrix and because they're not playing 2 Pokeballs, they're actually playing 2 Leaf Capes and a Giant Cape. Like, they have 3 healing cards and then 3 health boosting cards. They don't want to die, bro. They want their cards to take as many hits as possible and get the most utility out, which I just think is super cool, bro. I really like this take on the Decidueye deck. Because you don't really, I really haven't seen a Decidueye deck like this, bro. A lot of them are running Mars or Red card, like personally, like my build was running Mars, and then the Dartrix. I have definitely seen the 2 Erica Lily, but like I haven't seen like the Iono Pokecom with the 3 giant capes. Basically, I just think it's super sick because like there's also another Decidueye that got a 9th place. So let's just like compare that deck real quick. Yeah, dude, we have this one total opposite, bro. So this is actually the standard list that I've been talking about by the I forget his name, bro. I'm so sorry, but I shouted them out in like the last 2 videos. So this is their list basically. It's the 2/1/2 package with the 1/1/1 with the Giovanni, Mars, 1 Erica, and then the red card. I personally prefer 2 Ericas or at least 1 Erica, 1 Lily in my decks, but like this one obviously got 9th place. It's obviously getting top 20 on the rank ladder. So this build definitely does cook. But it's just super cool to see like 2 very different versions of the Decidueye deck. Like this one's more about hand disruption as you're setting up, and the other one's like full on, I want to set up as fast as possible, I want to live as long as possible. So it's just very cool to see like the very big contrast between them. I mean, then we can just take a look at the 2nd place Snorlax deck. So this one got 2nd place in the Godzly tournament. Pretty average, but they're playing an Ilima in it instead of like a 2nd Pokemon Center Lady, just to be able to pick up the Snorlax when you maybe like want to go in for Greninja in attack or like a Giratina before the Snorlax faints. So that is just a cool tech option that people are starting to play now. And they chose a Giant Cape over the Rocky Helmet, kind of like that, because I feel like the Giant Cape is just kind of useful in Giratina for those situations, like if you are playing against the Masquerada, which isn't common, but I feel like Masquerada is definitely getting played more. Like the Decidueye Masquerada is like kind of seeing like an increase in player rate. But besides those, bro, it's just like very average Oricorio Greninja decks. The other Snorlax actually did end up getting 10th place too, which is like, so Snorlax definitely performed way better at the Godzly tournament than in the Ursiidays. Then we just have like the Arceus Crobat, bro, like very standard decks down here. We have actually a solo Charizard getting 21st place, bro. So I think he must have dodged all the Oricorios personally. But yeah, now let's just go look at some deck profiles from the Ursiiday stuff. So we already looked at 1st place, which was the Tapu Lele. So we can look at 2nd place because why not? Let's just see what type of like deck list they are playing. Let's just see if it's like a standard one. So yeah, this is pretty standard, but they have the Iono and the Pokecom. I kind of like this because I feel like this deck is definitely inconsistent. So I kind of like seeing both of them. And just choosing not to run something like a Sabrina in favor of more consistency. And they actually do have the Leaf I know some people don't like the random leaf. I definitely think the leaf is cool because you definitely don't want Arceus in the active spot. Playing one, it can be useless sometimes because you might not see it late in the game. But the chance of having it is still, but besides that, it's like a very standard Carnivine Crobat deck. And then yeah, I mean, if we're just looking at Ursii's, bro, it's like a bunch of just Oricorio / Tapu Lele deck, like Giratina decks, just Giratina Darkrai. We have this Oricorio Magnezone that got 15th place. We have a Garchomp who actually amended to get 13th, bro, so shout out to you. Besides that, dude, we had a Solgaleo who ended up getting 30th. Like, this is like Solgaleo, bro, kind of has not been doing good at all really in tournaments. So I guess we could like just look at the profile for like the last deck because like all the other stuff's like pretty standard. But yeah, dude, to be honest, this is just a pretty much standard Solgaleo set. Instead of the Cosmo when they're playing an Iono, try to help find the Zero Candy / Solgaleo. And then just a Sabrina Cyrus package with the 4 tool cards for the Skarmory with the 2 Lilies for Solgaleo. Really not much to talk about. Solgaleo really has not been performing. There's also another Solgaleo list. I guess we can look at that too. I think it got around like yeah, it was actually 52nd. So it got top 64 but then lost right away. And it was playing Kangaskhan with just an Ilima. You know, makes sense because, you know, Solgaleo can swap in for free. Just, you know, I feel like people are starting to experiment now, trying to find that perfect partner because I feel like Skarmory's not really cutting it anymore, dude. Especially as the meta has evolved. I just don't think Skarmory's as good as it like used to be a little bit early on. Anyways, I think that does it for the meta report. I just wanted to basically look at the 2 tournaments. I kind of want to make this into a series because I kind of do like looking at all the data, and I hope you guys do enjoy like this type of stuff because I know a lot of people really like these ranked and competitive content, and I like to do a mix of the casual decks and the ranked content. Plus, like, you know, there's only so much top ranked decks you could like make deck profiles on, dude, before you just kind of keep remaking the same ones. I think I've uploaded like 4 Decidueye videos at this point. So I hope you guys don't mind this new series that I'm trying to make. Anyways, if you guys like the video, let me know in the comments. Please sub to your boy, bro. I'm super close to 800. Peace out and have a lovely day.